everyone. How are we all doing? My name is Mara Bernardo, a fourth-year student under the six-year program taking up Humanities. And at the same time, I'm a senior associate of the UA&P Junior Marketing Communications team. And today, I will be your host for the fourth Unitas Online webinar, and I'd like to introduce to you all our speakers. But before I get into that, let me give you a quick background on today's event. Unitas Online is a series of webinars where future dragons, parents, guardians, and school officials may learn more about our beloved university. In today's episode, we will be focusing on the humanities programs. To those who have sent questions in advance, we have taken note of them and have informed the respective speakers to address their questions. But in case you have more, please indicate them in the chat box and we will tackle it during the open forum. UA&P distinguishes itself for its strong liberal arts foundation in such a way that allows students to experience and apply a multidisciplinary liberal arts mindset to their chosen career path. In recent years, there have been new pathways developed to cater a growing demand for writers, content creators, and even medical professionals with a humanities background. At present, the Humanities program offers the following programs. First, the Master of Arts in Humanities under the six-year program, the five-year MA Humanities program, and the Bachelor of Arts in Humanities, which is a four-year program. This year, the two pathways offered are the Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing and the Bachelor of Arts in Health Humanities. To start off, Dr. Asuncion Magsino, Dean for the College of Arts and Sciences, and Dr. Joachim Antonio, Program Director for the Humanities, will tell us more about these new and innovative pathways. So without further ado, may we ask Dr. Magsino to tell us more about the AB Health Humanities.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Unitas Online episode. As Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, we have been doing some background studies on how our programs are doing. And lately, we have received some clamor, sort of, to expand the offerings and give more specific professional training for our humanities graduates, and hence the birth of the Health Humanities program. Slide, please. May I have the first slide, please? Thank you. So as you see, our Health Humanities is intended to be one of our, it's intended to be a pre-med course, but it is a Bachelor of Arts. So the complete name of the degree is Bachelor of Arts in Health Humanities. As was mentioned earlier, our humanities program are basically multidisciplinary. So this is multidisciplinary as well. And it aims at preparing professionals in the fields of medicine and healthcare. The difference, or what we'd like to come in as giving a different preparation for is its humanistic foundation. I'm sure that you'd say that this is not the first time that this was thought of, and true enough, I am aware that UP once had like a humanities pre-med course, but this time we'd like it not only to be like a momentary thing, but something that would last. We believe that as the humanities expose students to the wealth of human pursuits and achievements, this course would provide an excellent venue for students to esteem the deep significance of what it is to be human. And all these experiences that we hear about the pandemic and how our patients or those who have been inflicted with the disease were treated, what is normally highlighted is the fact that, like with something that a virus that's fatal for many, the only consolation that many medical experts can do is actually, if not to give them cure, it's to give them a human touch, in their affliction. And we see that this is what is the one that's most valued by the ones afflicted. So we would like to give this mindset and disposition to our future graduates as they practice their profession in the healthcare field, in the field of healthcare. Next slide, please. So after all, the beneficiaries of all healthcare practitioners are human persons who possess dignity, values, and the right to human flourishing and fulfillment, even in their case or even in their situation as being infirmed. So the UA&P Health Humanities Program provides its students with a distinct integral education which develops in them a whole person perspective, which will be their cutting edge as future professionals in the field of healthcare that's moving forward towards patient care, patient-centered care. How different is this program, therefore? Can we move to the next slide, please? I think Dr. Antonio later will talk about the core curriculum of all humanities programs. So that will take care of the core academic units in the AD Humanities program. We only would give, added to the core academic units and the humanities units will be our science courses. So there are two ways to get into this program. Either you come in as first-year college students, back to the former slides. So with coming in as first-year college students, you will get an AD Health Humanities degree. However, we can also offer the same program to those who come or enter through our junior college or JC entry points. Our JC entry point offers our students 6-year integrated program, which ends with an MA. However, if they so wish to move to the AD Humanities track after finishing junior college, they may do so. So after 4 years, they would receive an AD Humanities degree. Next slide, please. We also will offer our added courses to the humanities program, basically science and some philosophical or ethical courses as an independent bridging program, which will earn the student a certificate in basic science and health humanities courses. So let me explain that further. Let's move to the next slide, please. So these are the classes that are part of the certificate, which are in total 31 units. We offer this, okay, so next slide, please. We offer this for those who are non-bachelors of science undergraduate. So here are the different ways of being in the health humanities program. Either you start with us in junior college and get your AB degree for 3 years or MA for the full 6YP experience. Then you can stay on and get 1 year, stay on for the bridging program, which I showed you earlier, for 1 more year and earn, added to your degree, a certificate in basic science and health humanities. So that's the first. Or you may actually opt to shift to an AB humanities program, which is not the full 6YP. So it will end with 3 years in college. So 2 years of junior college, 3 years of your AB humanities. Then your certificates of 31 units, so that completes your AB minor in health humanities for 1 year. So that's the name of the degree. Otherwise, for those who did not take a humanities course after their junior college, they can practically do the same as those who take the 3 years AB Humanities. So they do 3 years of their AB or Bachelor of Science course. And then after that 3 years, then they take the same 31 units as a minor in Health Humanities for 1 year. Or they can go full blast from junior college to AB Health Humanities. As I mentioned earlier, those who have not taken a degree course in Health Humanities, they may also finish their AB or BS degree in whatever it is that they are enrolled in. Afterwards, they take 1 year of a certificate in basic science and health humanities. If there are clarifications on that, we can get back to this in the Q&A. Next slide, please. So these are the many ways that you can go. Either you start BS at junior college with us, or you take any undergraduate course in UA&P with us, or you can take any undergraduate course from other institutions. Altogether, if you take the certificate course or bridging course for 1 year, you get a certificate in basic science and health humanities. Next slide, please. So those are the ways of getting into the health humanities course. If there are questions you wish to ask later, we can tackle it in the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Doc Magsino. Personally, I was really intrigued when I learned that UA&P was offering this course. I think it's quite unique because it deliberately combines the medical field with the liberal arts. So for now, there's another exciting pathway being offered this year, and it has been the outcome of a growing demand for better, if not great, writing. To explain further, who better to talk about the creative pathway, who, by the way, is also an 8-time Palanca awardee, than Dr. Joachim Antonio.
Good morning. So the AB Humanities program is especially, slide please. Thank you. Okay. The AB Humanities program with specialization in creative writing is a multidisciplinary course that trains students in the complementary use of various methods drawn from different humanistic disciplines to develop a deeper understanding to the constantly changing socio-cultural landscape and to apply these methods to creative writing. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay. This training and understanding equips the humanities graduate to innovate and to develop new ideas that meet the demands of modern day career opportunities, particularly in the writing related fields. Okay. What makes the UA&P creative writing specialization unique is the principles and practice-based approach in developing the student's craft. Aside from the students developing the eye and ear for quality writing, they also learn the skills necessary to quickly develop ideas, to organize them to the needs of a reader, to spot potentials and pitfalls of a draft, and to articulate clearly both to themselves and to others what works and what doesn't in a written composition, all while working within the time and resource and constraints of real life. These skills are indispensable for in copywriting, feature writing, editing, and other writing-related skills and professions. Okay, next slide. Using the disciplines of literature and language, philosophy, history, and art, the student explores the nature of creative writing as well as build their own literary portfolio through the duration of the course. So what we're aiming for is to produce graduates who can effectively gather data for interpretation and appraisal through looking, listening, and research as grounded in the humanistic disciplines of language and literature, philosophy, history, and art. To complementarily use the methods of the humanistic disciplines in interpreting, analyzing, and appraising the human person, human society, and culture through the art, discipline, and creative writing. And then, of course, to innovate and develop ideas in the field of creative writing through the appreciation of how the different humanistic disciplines are distinct and complementary to each other in order to be conversant, adaptable, and drawn to contribute to the upliftment of the human condition in the pursuit of the truth. Okay, we'll just give you a quick glimpse of the curriculum. Next slide, please. So, yeah. Okay. Of course, we will be discussing these subjects later on when we look at the humanities as a whole. So we can now move on to some course descriptions to the additional creative writing subjects that we offer. So in the course of the, as the course is primarily humanities and creative writing is a pathway under it, a good chunk of the curriculum still contains the humanities subjects common to the other offerings. However, there are some subjects that will be particular to the creative writing pathway alone. For example, like writing poetry. Now, so this course takes off from the poetry and music courses, focusing more on the creative process of the craft alongside the study of exemplary poems. Now, by the end of the course, the student is expected to develop a firm grasp of how language works and how to produce a collection of poems that can be included in the portfolio that the student develops throughout the program. Now, then we also have writing narratives, which takes off from the novel course, focusing more on the creative process of the craft alongside the study of exemplary short fiction. By the end of the course, the student is expected to develop a firm grasp of narrative structure, and then they're also asked to produce a collection of short stories or chapters of a novel that will be included in the portfolio that they're developing. Now, then we have writing drama. This course takes off from theater and film courses, focusing more on the creative process of the craft alongside the study of exemplary scripts and screenplays. By the end of the course, the student is expected to develop a firm grasp of the art of instructional writing and to produce a script or screenplay that can be included in the portfolio being developed. And then there are some principal subjects, which we call the principles of pre-writing. Now, this course focuses on the discipline of preparing for a creative writing project, covering the search for story ideas, developing premises, fleshing out plots, both for short and long form, for linear and non-linear. By the end of the course, the student is expected to produce a collection of log lines, pitches, and outlines that can be used to expand the portfolio that the student develops throughout the program. And then we have the principles of free writing. This course focuses on the discipline of appraising, critiquing, and improving one's own work as well as others. By the end of the course, the student is expected to produce revised versions of some of their output from their earlier creative writing subjects, as well as a treatise on their aesthetics based on the humanities subjects they have already taken. You would notice that we do have a pattern of talking about a portfolio, and this is a good time to discuss it. In portfolio building, the student is expected to add and polish creative works developed throughout the program for compilation into a portfolio. Included in this portfolio is a treatise on creative writing that reflects the creative process of the collection. The student may concentrate on either poetry, fiction, or drama, and the professors will be available for advising, and then at the end of the semester, the student is expected to defend the treatise in front of the panel. So this is like a mini thesis for the creative writers. Okay, I would quickly go through our professors so that you guys will know that you guys are in good hands. Now, I'd like to start off with Mr. Christian Valles, poet and playwright. His body of work includes 20 Questions, Kaping Barako Club, Lorenzo, among others. He's a recipient of 3 Don Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards for Literature, for Poetry, and Plays, as well as a recognition for Short and Sweet Theater Manila 2017 for Best Playwright, and from Broadway World Philippines Awards. His works and events can be seen in www.juanx.com. And then there is me, now playwright and fictionist. I am the proponent of Compact Shakespeare, where the abridgments of Shakespeare's plays have been staged all over the world. I have also been the recipient of 8 Don Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards for Literature, for Plays and Children's Fiction, as well as a recognition for Short and Sweet Theater Manila 2014. Most of my work is accessible in the following websites: www.joachimantonio.com, www.compactshakespeare.com, and www.excessanonymous.com. My children's books are available in bookstores under Lampara and Vival Publishing, and in addition, I have been conducting creative writing workshops for over 10 years under Story Writing School. So, of course, what we're offering here in the Humanities program is something a lot more intense and expansive as compared to just workshops. Okay, then we have Dr. Ludovico Lacsamana, essayist and poet. In 2019, his essay, ang mga patutubong wika tungo sa pagbuo ng isang matatag at maunlad na bansang Filipino, won second place in the Sanaysay ng Taon category from the Commission ng Wikang Pilipino. He has also been the recipient of several national literary awards, including the Lian sa Arte, Talaang Ginto sa Tula, Gawad Surian at Sanaysay sa Gawad Commission sa Sanaysay ng Ganipalang Colyantes, and he has also received the prestigious 1989 Metro Bank Outstanding Teacher Award. And then finally, we have Dr. Paul Dumol, playwright. He's best known as the author of the one-act play Ang Paglilitis kay Mang Serapio. He has written full-length plays and libretti for musicals. He has won many awards, among them the CCP Centennial Award in 1999 in the field of drama. In addition, he has been a long-time mentor of Mr. Christian Valles and myself. So that is the roster. And hopefully that interests you guys in taking up creative writing.
Thank you so much for that, Doc Joem. As a student, I've taken around 3 literature classes so far, and I think it'll be exciting for students to not only learn literature, but to also learn how to create their own original works. So moving on, there's a common question about the humanities that is often raised, and this is about the career paths beyond graduation. Doc Joem, could you please share with us where our graduates are today?
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Okay. Yeah. Is there a career ahead for the humanities graduate? And if there is, next slide. What kind of profession can the humanities graduate look forward to? So the short answer is, of course, yes, there are careers ahead for the humanities graduate, and no, the career is not limited to the academe. While many of our graduates have indeed opted for a career track outside academics and research, next slide, please. Those who have chosen careers in business, entrepreneurship, law, airline security, and so forth have thrived with laudable success. Unlike most other courses that set a student towards a specific industry, the humanities program focuses on providing the students with skills, outlook, and wisdom they'll need to carve out a customized path they wish to set for themselves. There is no legitimate profession or industry that is totally devoid of human benefit. Next slide. Yeah. Benefit, and thus the humanities graduate, knowing how to discover what a human being was, is, and can be, is an asset to any professional field. In the past decade, more and more companies prioritize the importance of communication, innovation, adaptability, work ethic, etc. And because the humanist does not only touch on these areas, but dives into them through the disciplines of history, philosophy, literature, and the arts. Next slide. The perspective of the humanist brings to their professional field is and always remains invaluable. Yeah. This claim then begs for a longer answer, as would come from a follow-up question. How does the humanities background make the graduate fit in almost any field? For this, we must look into the 4 pillars that the humanities stands on: history, philosophy, literature, and the arts. Okay, to a layperson, we can simply say that history focuses on the discipline of learning what man was, that philosophy focuses on the understanding of what man is, while literature and the arts focuses on what man can be. In terms of skills, history highlights research and interpretation, literature and the arts highlight interpretation and appraisal, philosophy highlights appraisal and analysis. These four disciplines interweave and complement each other within the humanities. Bringing these four disciplines combined out to the professional world is a formidable and highly valued advantage. For what industry has no history? What industry has no vision of itself for the future? What industry can survive without knowing its history, without analyzing and appraising its present, so it can aspire for the future? Next slide. In a similar way, how Socrates once phrased, the unexamined life is not worth living, the unexamined industry is not worth sustaining. History would show that the death of many industries has been due to a myopic vision of what a human being is and what lies there in the future. The humanist professional, in whatever field they choose to be in, understands this, and from whatever position they may begin in a company or institution, can bring this understanding to the benefit of their clients, colleagues, and superiors. Okay, so what humanities track should one take in case they're interested? For those who are interested, for those who just aim to apply the humanistic skills in whatever respective field they want to enter, there is the AB Humanities path for them. Majority of our graduates took the AB track and have thrived in all sorts of areas. More recently, we have decided to push the offerings a lot further. So we'll just review what we've covered earlier. We've opened up the AB Humanities track, AB Health Humanities track, where a student gets the humanities subjects side by side with science subjects necessary for pre-med. We've also opened up the AB Humanities with specialization in creative writing track, also to address the growing industry of freelance writers and creatives, especially now in the post-Gutenberg era, where writing has become more rewarding than ever before. For those interested in more than just applying humanistic skills in their chosen profession, for those who aim to pass on those skills to future generations, there is the MA Humanities path. In the MA Humanities, the student gets an opportunity to integrate the four disciplines on a topic of their choice as their thesis. To date, we have produced a number of theses that have caught the eye of different entities, both local and abroad. While many of those who take the MA choose to take academic careers, we also have a fair number of those who decided to use their MA in other professional areas. Some even went as far as to pursue law right after receiving their MA degree. So how does the humanities program flow? In their first 3 semesters, the students take up subjects like film, music, and theater for art, poetry, novel, and essay for literature, historical research for history, and metaphysics for philosophy. These subjects they take are designed to help them familiarize with the field of the humanities, as well as to prepare them for the foundation subjects, which in turn prepare the students for proficiency in the humanistic disciplines of art, literature, history, and philosophy. Central to the curriculum of the humanities program are the foundation subjects of art in the humanistic tradition, literary theory and criticism, historiography, and history of philosophy. Each of these subjects is delivered through 2 semesters to solidify the students' grounding in the tradition and methods in the different humanistic fields. As the students take the foundation subjects side by side, they are invited to see the parallelisms and complementarity of these disciplines. During the 3rd year of their majors, the students are then trained and challenged to synthesize what they have learned so far through the subjects of art theory, work and society, philosophical discourse, sources in Philippine history, and theory of theories and the humanistic enterprise, culminating with a humanities practicum, wherein the students are tasked to apply what they have learned in the workplace. For the students pursuing the MA Hum program, central to their last 3 semesters are the thesis writing subjects, research methodology as well as thesis writing 1 and 2. Alongside thesis writing, the MA students take other humanities subjects that are geared towards complementing their thesis project. through this, the students are prepared for their mastery of the humanistic disciplines. I suppose you can breeze through the subjects that complement these humanities subjects in the health humanities pathway, such as biology, general psychology, general chemistry, general physics, comparative anatomy, bodyliness, as well as special questions in bioethics. And then for those who are taking up the creative writing pathway, we take up writing narratives, writing poetry, writing drama, principles of pre-writing, principles of rewriting, and the writer's portfolio. And then let's go to the big question. Is the humanities a good fit for you? And are you a fit for the humanities? Yeah. With all these laid out, let's get down to the main question then. Now, what will make a student a good match for the humanities? If a student sees that working in a profession is more than just earning a living, but providing a service to society, then the humanities may be good for them. If a student sees that industries and markets are not just mere monolithic entities, but communities of human beings with a past, present, and future, then the humanities may be good for them. If the student sees a need in society that no industry or entity has the mind to address, then the humanities will definitely be good for them. But this consideration goes two ways, of course. Is the student going to be good for the humanities? If the student is eager to learn in whatever medium, whether it be reading, listening, writing, doing, or researching, then they'll be good for the humanities. If the student is willing to see past the compartmentalization of disciplines, then they'll be good for the humanities. More importantly, if the student is willing to discover where they fall short so that they will know in what area to grow, then they'll be good for the humanities. The humanities, after all, is all about the growth of the human being, whether as an individual, as part of society, or part of something greater than humankind itself. This is, in a nutshell, is what the humanities is about. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, Mara, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Doc Joachim. I hope that this has given everyone insights about careers possible through the humanities. On another note, joining us today as well are current students of the program, Ms. Leia Molina and Ms. Michaela Babel, to share with us their experiences. All right, so let's have it with Ms. Leia.
Hello, good morning. So, I'm a fourth year MA Humanities student, and back in high school, before going into the humanities, I was always interested in history, art, literature, cultural studies, and even languages. And after graduating high school, I spent a year in the Netherlands in a language and culture immersion. And I got to explore the world of dance and art, experiencing some of the backstage aspects. So when I took a look at the UA&P curriculum and its liberal arts education, particularly humanities, I felt at home in a course where I could study philo, lit, art, languages, culture, and the like, all without boxing myself in just one track. And I loved the idea of having that sort of flexibility and the use of the diverse disciplines. So that's why when it came time to pick a course, the humanities really just made sense for me. Maybe Mikai would like to add to that or share her own experience.
All right, thank you, Leah. So, good morning. I'm Michaela. I'm also a fourth year MA Humanities student. And there are two reasons why the humanities appeal to me. One is math and the sciences are not my strong suit. They never were and they never will. Therefore, my options would seem limited. However, this is where the second reason enters. Growing up, history and literature always captured my interest. And as I realized that I excelled in those subjects, I wanted to pursue them in college. Therefore, when I chose this course, even if I knew that the journey wouldn't be really easy, the thought of Taking up something that I love pushes me past my limits in order to overcome the challenges that I face along the way. And as I went, and as a freshie and during my growth in the university, I would describe the curriculum as something that will help you in the long run. It assists you in building the foundation that you need for tougher subjects and of course work or matters outside school. Applying the lessons that you will learn in literature, history, the arts, or even social sciences, this program will definitely assist you in greatly honing your ability to read, write, and critically think about a certain subject matter and provide a very insightful response towards it. So, yes, that's it, basically. Thank you.
Would you guys like to describe the program and what are the most important learnings you've had so far?
Um, well, from personal experience, the humanities curriculum is rooted in the four disciplines: art, philosophy, history, and literature. And something that becomes its greatest strength, it is quite broad, but it becomes its strength because of its flexibility. And what I love about it is that we are always taught to dig deep and ask why or what for in any task or situation to understand fully. And we're really being taught to become limitless or boundless as we're given insights into everything and in the long run really understand our world. And like Doc Joachim said earlier, what industry does not have a history, what industry does not have like at least some sort of literature, right? Um, so yeah, so like I the humanities subjects like really give, if I could sum up in one word, it would be perspectives, because we're not just bound by just one perspective. So for another anecdote I would give is like art has been frequently regarded as subjective, right? But and especially in modern times, a lot of people say like art is art according to one's own taste. But as I learned, the many art theorists like Tolstoy, Kant, and we studied so many of them. They all have their own views as well, and it's really like art according to whose perspective. And even in history, like which is the real truth in writing events. And as historians, or as we're also taught to be more critical of sources, and to not just believe any truths, but we're really tasked to question them and to be critical in pursuit of that truth.
All right, since Leia mentioned perspectives, I would like to specify the subjects that we're taking right now. So currently we're taking Latin, historiography, and Western literature. These are some of our major classes this semester. And since she mentioned earlier the importance of these lessons, I would personally share that two of the most impactful concepts that would come from literature, especially in a specific work from Camus or Kierkegaard. Reading and analyzing the texts that I mentioned from the authors, I found that these ideas are very much relevant in today's time and situation with how limited our spaces and with the lack of physical or face-to-face conversations with people beyond those at home, we cannot help but to contemplate on the things that we truly missed when everything was still normal. Therefore, upon going through the works that I mentioned earlier, I began to realize the importance of literature as it speaks to us readers and students look about the concept of living life to the fullest and looking past the fear and hesitations that hinder us from accomplishing something fulfilling. It can be a new hobby, a new dish you wanted to try, and a story that you wanted to complete, anything that allows you to savor life even in the middle of a pandemic. And even if things seem overwhelming, you just have to keep pushing. And literature, as one of the pillars of humanities, helps us realize that. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Miss Leia and Miss Michaela. I also personally see the significance of what I learn, may it be about philosophy, history, or the arts. Hearing from the upper batchment makes me look forward to the next few years in this course. So thank you guys. So sure enough, the challenge of the humanities graduate is the diversity of career paths that they can pursue after completing their degree. We can learn more about this from Ms. Aika Dacuno and Ms. Corinne Romabiles, both alumni of the humanities.
Hello, good morning. My name is Aika Dacuno. I am a graduate, a proud graduate of the UA&P Bachelor of Arts in Humanities. I'm a fresh graduate. I actually just graduated 2020, August 2020, and I am currently working as a content writer for a web design and development company starting last week. So I am on my first week on the job. I'm pretty blessed that I was able to get into the industry just a month after graduation. So a lot has been said about the humanities already. So as a fresh graduate, my experience so far carrying my degree has been quite interesting in a sense that this industry or the career that I decided to pursue was far from what I had planned for myself 4 years ago when I was a freshman. I did not want to be part of the humanities. My goal in life was to be a doctor. So I thought that I was always gonna pursue the medical field. But I was knocked into a different path, and I have never been happier because I think that after 4 years, the humanities and the liberal arts education that UA&P bestowed upon me was actually a lot more beneficial for me. And well, a bit about myself, I have done other things apart from being a content writer. I have done gigs in a radio station here in the Philippines. And I was also part of the UA&P Junior Marketing Communications team. Now, the reason why I talked about the extracurricular things that I do is because a lot of people think that humanities students are it's very niche. We like literature and history and writing and philosophy. So a lot of people think that that's the only thing that we do or hobbies that are directly related to those disciplines. But no, I never saw myself getting into in a web design and development company, but here I am. And I think that my humanities background really equipped me with skills for me to enjoy any industry and any industry that I like. And I think it's also because in the humanities, we are not, the liberal arts education also is not, we're not intended to be trained for a very specific path. It's not like we are made destined for just one goal or just one industry. It actually equips us with the necessary skills to thrive in any industry that we want. So it actually helped me, especially from my the subject that I learned, that no matter where I go, I will always continue enjoying and thriving because I was equipped with critical thinking skills. I was equipped with communication skills, and also the mere fact that humanities students have this knack for wisdom. So in everything that we do, we tend to enjoy what we learn. So the mere fact that we can enjoy anything that we can learn from these career paths or wherever we go, it makes you, I feel like for me, it helped me become a little more confident with myself that no matter where I go with my degree, I would still continue to be successful. And as far as what sets me apart from the other graduates, right? Like for sure they are thriving in their industries. What sets me apart is at least because I'm a fresh graduate. I've only started working for a week. I can't really say much about what sets me apart from my colleagues because I've only just recently met them. But what I can say is that companies are very interested in what fresh graduates majored in college, and they tend to ask questions, especially when your course is related to the job description. My job position is sort of related because it involves writing a lot. And the more I actually got into the nitty gritty, the ins and outs of the actual job, I realized that, wow, a lot of what I learned in the humanities really, really helped me when it comes to research, when it comes to trusting your intuition that this is right, or um, more technical stuff, such as trying to write concisely for a specific audience. It enabled me to stand out because people tend to be surprised with what humanities students or graduates do, especially in industries that are not considered humanities related. And I find that to be, I learned this on the spot because the company would always ask questions about it. And I'm not saying that this is going to be the same for every single humanities graduate. It's, to each is their own. You might be considering pursuing medicine, or consider pursuing other industries, but I'm pretty sure that they will ask about your interests. They will ask about what you spent the 4 years studying, and they will find something very, very important and integral to their company. So yeah, in a nutshell, I'm very proud to be to be a humanities graduate, despite having a completely different career path in the beginning. And if anything, I'm really glad that I did pursue it. Thank you, Mara.
Thank you, Aika. All right, let's move on to our next alumni, Miss Karine.
Hi everyone. I, I, I was I was in awe of what Nephilim had said. I agree with everything she had said, and it was a good introduction for my cuentos this morning. I just told my friends here in UA&P that mine is just a cuento because I can really talk a lot, and so I hope I stopped at 5 minutes. What Nephilim had said was true, and it's just that I'm a little bit scandalized by her youth, because I graduated way back 1994. And so, well, I have a lot of experiences about being having a humanities background, which I'd like to share with you. Hopefully, I end on time. So in the beginning, I thought humanities was just going to be a hobby for me. Yeah, the humanities, it's basically about reading books, listening to music, dance, no, culture. Um, so in the beginning, I thought that I was cut out for the humanities because I don't like math, I don't like science. So I was forced into it, no, because at that time, no one really knew about what the humanities is about. No, so after that, after I graduated, I was a little bit lost about what I was going to do, especially in the 90s. The 90s was about specializations, and so people always tell me soon you'll find your spot under the sun, but I never really did. But there was, I don't know why, but among all the 7 major arts, even if UA&P at that time was quite serious about philosophy, and that was how I got into the hang of it, thinking, mulling over things, reflecting. What really got me jobs was the visual art. Even if we were really heavy in literature or philosophy, yeah, I found myself, say, working in a mall instead of a museum, doing visual merchandising. And somehow, somewhere, all these 7 major arts just became handy when I started to work in retail. I don't know why, but that was how it happened. And soon after that, yeah, I lived abroad for a while, like everyone else, got to travel and realized how important the humanities is in trying to figure out what the world is about. I realized also that there's a lot of visual culture, and also figured out that the Philippines doesn't really figure so much in a world visual culture. And we ourselves need to first figure out what our visual arts is about, so that we can participate in the world's visual culture, because we're hardly seen as a representation. So that was key to my research. And then sometime back in 2010, I found myself working in a multimedia school in Mapua, Intramuros. And there, for 10 years, I was, even if I was in the traditional arts appreciation, suddenly I had to be very well versed about game design or web design or all that multimedia, whole gamut of the multimedia world, app development, etc., even film, digital film. No, why? Because I had to mentor and help in the thesis these future multimedia professionals. No, today I have my own digital media studio, and so we do a lot of web design, we do a lot of app development, even game design. I have a 2D animation project with the DOST for their herbal drug discovery project for Tuklas Lunas. And I'd like to think that all the 7 major arts that we studied in the humanities were all, come in handy with all these endeavors, projects time in. I'm reminded of how Leonardo da Vinci, as a Renaissance man, was promoted to us. Now that we probably are not just good with the visual arts, but we're also in engineering, we're in weapons design, we're in this and that, just like the Renaissance man himself. So today I am teaching in the graduate school of the Asian Institute of Management. So I teach in the School of Innovation and Business. So I teach what you call art science. I'm still developing the course. And I teach among, graduates of all types of backgrounds. So many of them engineering. I'm very comfortable with engineers because I taught art among engineering students. And right now, also, I crafted my own course called Philippine Branding. I'd like to think I'm pioneering this in that, my passion to figure out what Philippine representation is in the world. I am now, I'm now with the School of Executive Education and Lifelong Learning in Asian Institute of Management, teaching this for the first time online, which is I'm kind of frustrated about because it's definitely for on-site teaching. Okay, so how do you think, so the humanities really helped me a lot, and up to now, especially in a pandemic, post-pandemic situation, because the world has turned human-centric. And so if, I also teach design thinking among MBA people, and all the time, what we talk about is being human-centric. Yeah, so startup founders need to be human-centric. All business frameworks now are human-centric. And then you ask yourself, wow, how how deeply ingrained, no, the world is now in, or the world is busy figuring out what being human is about. Yeah, so even a very data-driven world, information in your fingertips. I think what has helped me a lot is my philosophy background, because it has taught me to be a lifelong learner. So as Neff earlier was saying, no matter what field you're dialoguing with, what anchors you most is like your humanities background. Because whether you're talking to like a fine arts person, you're talking to an economist, you're talking to a data analytics person, somehow somewhere your lifelong learning attitude, lifestyle, because of the humanities, makes you fit in. And so I'd like to think that I'm able to communicate with anyone and with any professional today, as I teach them, in the Asian Institute of Management. I always seem to be connecting with them because of my humanities background. Why is that? Because at the end of the day, these people are human beings. No, but then the conversations with them become very engaging, because the 7 major arts, I mean, what can be more engaging than them, right? So starting with philosophy. With philosophy, I was thinking that it's the strength for all the 5 skills in the fifth industrial revolution. So in the fifth industrial revolution, as I've been talking to teachers these days, struggling with online learning. So So the 5 important grade school, high school, to college. Well, I hope my internet connection is bringing me back. Okay, am I back? Yeah. So the 5 skills of creativity, collaboration, computational thinking, communication, and design thinking would have to come in handy to anyone, any professional of any background today. And I would like to think that creativity tops all these 5. A collaboration is something that is more specific. No, it has to do with the values of the person, such that he's able to collaborate with any professional for a multidisciplinary project. But to me, creativity is key because, and it's something that the humanities can really develop in any person, because it's post-pandemic times, and we are very encouraged to innovate practically everything in the world today. So these days, I am in that innovation education. So I teach innovation. Sorry, Vix. Okay, anyway, sorry, there's someone here in my room. So basically that, it's a very exciting world for anyone who has humanities background, and some people might not be cognizant of that, no. Today, my dissertation, I'd like to end with this because it's amazing. After quite a while of not being in UA&P, they now have Health Humanities. No, I never knew there was actually going to be something like this. But prior to the pandemic, my dissertation is about the psychosocial dynamics that is done in family medicine. For one, the Filipino family has always been my advocacy. But then I realized that there's so much of mental health that we should be advocating, especially these days. And right now, I'm into interaction design. Like, how can the digital be further used, or can be further explored to help in psychosocial therapy in family medicine in the Philippines? So basically, I'm in kind of like in many fields, but I think that was really promoted during my time back in the 90s in our humanities. First with the Center for Research and Communications, a lot of talk about the Renaissance, being a Renaissance man. And so just like Leonardo da Vinci, you can be comfortable in any field that you'd like to poke your nose into. And I think that is very characteristic of the world we're in today. You can participate as a social scientist, as a mathematician, as a visual artist, as a philosopher in any field, because everyone is called to be human-centric. And so I think that is very important of the world of the humanities, and we should be very aware of the responsibility that we are given, no? And we're not just here to be entertained by the 7 major arts, but this is now key. The humanities as a set of knowledge in changing the world for the better. Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Aika and Miss Karine.
Sure.
It's always encouraging to hear from alumni. So I'm pretty excited for what the future has in store for me and my fellow Humies.
Yeah,
and now for the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for, the question and answer portion of today's event. So may I request the speakers to please unmute and show themselves so that they can answer any question our audience may have for you. And again, if you have follow-up questions, feel free to place it in the comment section and we will do our best to answer it. All right? So for our first question, this could be answered by any member from the CAS department. Oh, and I would like to introduce first some members of the Humanities Administrative Team, Dr. Sofia Marca, Assistant Program Director, Ms. Janice April Mercurio, Program Officer, and Ms. Jean, Administrative Assistant. All right? So for our first question, in the Philippines, what are the options in terms of career and graduate studies for health humanities degree holders? How was the undergraduate program for health humanities first established in the country?
I think that's for me.
Yes,
Okay. I am not aware of any other institution in the Philippines that offers health humanities. In fact, if we did some benchmarking, we did pattern program after some that are actually being offered abroad in the US particularly. Okay, what uh, professions, what path is there for health humanities graduates? I guess, well, basically it's a pre-med course. You can take medicine after taking AB Health Humanities. Use the usual process. I think you have to get your NMAT, no? Because we are offering in the program there are really no prerequisites to medical school except a bachelor's degree course. So you can graduate any Bachelor of Arts degree or any Bachelor of Science degree. That's the only prerequisite, and get a high score, a good score for your NMAT, which is the medical admissions test, the standardized medical admissions test. However, we thought that we can give our pre-med students like the sciences that will make them more acquainted with medicine as a field of science also. So it's a pre-med course. You have heard from our alumni how they are trailblazing in their own fields. So we are also trying to see if we can trailblaze in what is incipient in the country called expressive arts therapy, which is like giving using the arts as a way of helping people who are maybe having some issues on health issues, not necessarily mental health, but other health issues. So expressive arts or expressive therapy can be like art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy, or all sorts of therapies there. Now we were seeing that this can be a niche for our AB Health Humanities graduates, even if they don't proceed to medicine, because Health Humanities is also foreseen as a research field of research, and since we are training our students to do that kind of activity, to be comfortable in carrying out that kind of activity, research work. So as you may have seen in the word cloud earlier, researchers are quite strong among the professions our alumni are currently doing. So we're creating niche. So meaning this course is trailblazing in many ways, and I guess trailblazing is the way of the dragons, of UA&P. So that's it.
Thank you, Doc Magsino. And
You're
I think there's
welcome.
a related question in the chat box. Does the Health Humanities also prepare students for applying to medical school?
I think I answered that. Yes, this
Yes.
is our pre-med course. Yes.
All right, there's another question regarding the creative writing course. Will students have the opportunity to contact or learn about the publishing houses available should they decide to write and publish a book in the future? Or will they be given pointers on how to publish their own literary works?
Well, our approach here is how they phrase it. Actually, that's the whole idea of the special subjects for creative writing. The students are tasked uh, to write not just simply for the portfolio itself, but also for submitting. So yes, definitely in the duration of the course, the students will be encouraged to contact the publishing houses and so on and so forth. Although, of course, nowadays, as I've mentioned, this is a post-Gutenberg era. So publishing houses is just one of the many ways to get your work out. Now, actually, one of the big arguments to just ensure that your portfolio works is to actually include in your portfolio works that have actually been accepted in in publishing houses na online magazines, and on occasion, if that's one contest also. Yeah, so definitely, yeah, and then of course, since the professors are not just simply theorists but actual practitioners, we'd be more than happy to give leads to the students, and probably if the students show promise, we might even invite them for collaboration. Yeah, so that's really so by the time they graduate, they really have a lot of credentials to carry along with them with whatever field they want to enter. Yeah, there.
Thank you, Doc Joem. And for another question for the Health Humanities, can you shed more light on the part where the students may take a BS degree and take a minor in Health Humanities? Is this path applicable for freshman students only, or can it be also for transferees?
Okay, so as I said earlier, any course, any bachelor's course is good as a pre-med course. So people who have finished an AB course or a BS course can actually apply in the medical schools and take their NMAT and apply in the medical schools. However, it's the feeling of preparedness that they seem to, like want to take up more science subjects if they have not taken so in their undergrad. Okay, so having said that, I can say that any student who has finished a bachelor's degree and who wants to be more prepared for medical school can enroll in the certificate course, 1 year certificate course we have, and they're given that certificate in basic natural sciences and health humanities, which can prepare them better for medical school. It's not a requirement, but it is like a preparation that they can take if they want to, if they so wish. This certificate course is open to both UA&P students and non-UA&P students. I hope I answered that question.
Okay, thank you, Doc Magsino.
Okay.
And for now, we have questions for the current students. So what's the typical day like for a HUM student, schedule-wise and academic workload?
Um, well, if it was during pre-pandemic time, so my our classes were a typical day would be like going to, of course, going to class. I would start at 9 a.m. And like in between, I would space out my schedule, but in between, like it's as what Aika mentioned earlier, that the humanities students are not limited to, like, they're not total nerds. So like we also engage in extracurriculars, and like right now I'm involved in peer, and um but yeah, a typical day is, it's like I think Mikay would agree that it's pretty normal. Like it's not really, not really out of this world. But yeah, and then like we also like to engage in as much as Netflix shows us the other students do, or yun, we also read. But yeah, siguro the um like Hume students really love to, or like to read a lot, and I mean, because like literature, history, right? And so like it's really part of that, and so like we also take that into account in their daily schedule life. I think you also know this, Mara, right?
Actually, same. Like, even, yes, we do actually read a lot. And I agree, it's not just about studying. I also go into extracurriculars. Before, I was in theater. And now I actually joined the creative writing org, which is exciting for me. And perhaps Michaela wants to also share her thoughts on this question.
Okay, so to add to what Leia said, since both of us were taking 5YP MA Humanities, um, Yes, to be honest, our course has a lot more units than the 4-year program. However, this is when you learn how to budget your time because aside from your studies, you need to have lives outside the classroom. Therefore, you need to find time to rest, to interact with your friends, and to keep your mind and to empty your mind from all the overwhelming thoughts of your classworks and all. So, just to follow up on, we're not limited by our academic work as well. We can take or we can join orgs such as the dance org or creative writing org, any actually. Or if you want, you could take other programs outside school, which can also help with your growth as a humanities students. So I hope that also answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah and Michaela. And we have another question for the CAS department. Can a current 6YP Paul Echo 11th grade student switch to the Health Humanities for his 12th grade school year 2021-2022 if interested?
Okay, for that grade 11 student, I would suggest that that person stays on up to grade 12. And when the person starts first year college, which is 36YP, that's when he applies or she applies to the Health Humanities program. So it's more simple that way.
Ay po, thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
next, we have a question for the alumni. What are the traits or qualities of a student that would help them settle in successfully?
Should I
Ah,
should
yes, you
I
may.
Yeah,
start?
go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So the question is, what are the specific traits or no
Yeah.
traits? Okay. I think I mentioned when I spoke earlier that people tend to be surprised with what humanities students can do, specifically because when they hear about what we majored in, they're like, oh, so what got you into doing radio, or what got you into doing web design and all that? I think there's certain traits such as being able to trust your intuition, always having a knack for wisdom, and wanting to keep on learning. Will more or less help you become successful in whatever career you choose, even if it's as simple as putting up an advocacy, especially for pandemic in this pandemic setting. You're kind of limited to what resources you have, and it's also pretty difficult to get jobs. I understand that, but luckily for me, I guess one of the traits they found in me is because they were pretty interested in what I majored in. They found it so interesting that I majored in philosophy, that I majored in literature, and yet I'm applying for a job that isn't exactly meant for humanities students per se. So that's one. Humanities students are interesting. We tend to surprise people, and I guess yeah, you kind of carry that on, like the knowledge that you pick up. You see that it's actually very integral to some of the things that companies would require you to do, depending on the position.
Okay. Yeah, taking off from what she said earlier. So I'd like to think that the humanities equips you with, especially in philosophy, with wisdom. And to me, this is key in a world like ours today, that is characterized by abundance and automation. Yeah, there's a call for whole brain thinking, but then at the core of it, I think is maturity, is wisdom, and we're trained to do that when we start to read, write, mull over philosophy. Why? Because ours is a data-driven world. There's so much of information that people are drowned by it. People are lost, and since I'm into innovation research and I'm also into innovation instruction, I learned this when I got invited to Harvard Business School. And for 2 weeks, and everything they were saying there was just about making things that matter. So be in things that matter, because there's just so much that you can get into. But then I think the humanities equips you with that, and while you're at it, to arts, but particularly that is you're trained in that in philosophy, and so okay, my internet connection is unstable again. Yeah, so and so as I would say, I mean taking it from the Bible. So yeah, so be in where you have to be, and all things will be added unto you. Yeah, so yeah, creating things that matter and being in what matters, I think, is important in our world today.
All right, thank you so much. And for our last question, what jobs or work can a graduate of the Health Humanities student get, international or local, in the field of health and sciences besides being a potential medical doctor?
Um, okay, as I mentioned earlier, we can innovate, we can trailblaze in the field of expressive therapies, backed up by research that our students are capable of doing, or we at least try to train them for that. So that's an upcoming field in the Philippines. That can be a place that we can go. And other health allied professions are also fields where our health humanities graduates can get into. Public health, as usual, this is something that those who are more interested in doing some kind of field work in their research, they can go to public health and continue on other allied medical fields, no? Which is, according to what I have read lately, because precisely ambulatory medicine is also expanding, then the opportunities for those who are in the allied health professions is also opening up. So this is a field that maybe can be explored. I mean, it may not actually be totally defined at the moment, but as usual, our graduates define things for themselves and contribute that to society as well.
Okay, thank you, Doc Magsino.
You're
And with
welcome.
that, we officially conclude the fourth episode of Unitas Online featuring the humanities programs. So a few reminders for the application process. For the non-scholar applicants, online applications are officially open. So exam dates will run from January 2021 onwards to ensure safe and efficient online testing systems. You can choose your exam date as you complete your application process ahead of time. For our scholar applicants, application period will only be from September 21 to October 21, followed by an online exam on November 7. So keep those dates in mind. The admissions process and entrance exam will be administered online for the school year 2021 to 2022. And that's all for now. Thank you all so much to our speakers, Doc Magsino, Doc Joem, our alumni, Miss Corrine, Miss Aika, and of course, our current students, Miss Leah and Miss Michaela. And thank you everyone for attending
Thank
this
you.
webinar. We hope that this helped answer all the concerns and questions you may have had. If you might have any specific questions about the program, you can always send an email to humanities@uap.asia. You can also message us on our official Facebook page of UAP or chat us at www.uap.asia. Again, I'm Mara Bernardo, your episode 4 Unitas Online host, signing off. We look forward to seeing you again in future episodes of Unitas Online. Stay safe and don't forget to sanitize, wear a mask, and the face shield.